Hello guys and welcome back to another episode, and I hope you enjoy your weekend. So today we're going to talk about Assassination Rogue's PvE guide. So this is going to be a PvE guide for World of Warcraft patch 8.1, and it's going to be about Assassination Rogue for PvE. What we're going through is what you can see just over here, just here where my hand is. And basically we're going through the stats, the Azerite traits, the talents, and the gameplay. So I'm giving my opinion on how you should start and open on the bosses, and how your rotation should be just following up on your rotation. So I will go through all these 4 steps in this video. So let's just dive directly to it and let's talk about the things. So the first part we're going to talk about is the stats. So the first stat you of course need as a, what you can say, assassination rogue is agility. Agility is giving you attack power and increasing all your damage passively. So now you probably say, yeah, we know we have agility on all our items, but other items where you can actually choose between agility or haste or critical strike, you want agility. For example, as trinkets. You can get a trinket with 400 eye level and another with 400 eye level. One of them have agility, one of them have haste. Then you want the one with agility. You want agility. Enough about agility. I think you got the point. After that, the secondary stat you're going to look for on your gear, the most important one is haste. So haste is increasing your attack speed and energy regeneration. This means that you will get faster energy as a faster attacks. So that means you will deal faster attacks, you will have faster energy regeneration, and that means you will be able to do more damage because your energy will be ready. And Assassination Rogue is really reliable on, you can say, your energy, because the more energy you have, the more combo points you can get out against damage. So haste is the most important for Assassination Rogues. The next stat is critical strike. The reason for why is because, as I said before, haste makes the damage faster, but critical strike actually gives you more combo points. I just totally forgot. I was like, combatant point? No, combo points. So you know, when you use, for example, multilate, you're getting combo points on your target. Every time you have a passive spell as Assassination Rogue called Seal Fate. So every time you critical strike with one of your abilities, you will get additional combo points. So that's why haste gives you faster energy to get combo points, and critical strike just gives you additional combo points. So the more combo points you get, the more damage you can get out, basically. The next row is Mastery. Mastery increases your bleeding damage and your damage from your poisons. So that is kind of fine, but again, haste and critical strike is still more important because you want to be able to come out with more damage faster, and Mastery is just the damage, you can say the core damage of your spells that is increasing. The last one is Versatility, that increases your flat damage and damage you take, reducing that. So it's not really, you can say, a big thing for Assassination Rogue. It's fine if you get it and the item is much higher eye level than what you had before, but else Versatility is the last one. So I hope this kinda gave you a clear vision on which stat you need as Assassination Rogue. So the next point in this video is Azerite traits. So let's just dive directly over to the Azerite traits. So here we have the Azerite traits. So I'll go through them one by one. So my favorite one is Nothing Personal. So when you use Vendetta on someone, it's actually this Azerite trait. It's kind of fun because it's actually an old Legion artifact trait, this one here, that just is back again as an Azerite trait. But Vendetta, when you use Vendetta poisons the target, dealing NATO damage over 20 seconds and grant you 40 energy over 20 seconds. This damage you get from a Vendetta is insane, and it's really cool, and it's just passively, and Vendetta gets so much cooler. So I would say Nothing Personal is 100% my favorite one. The next I'm almost talking Danish now. The next one is Double Dose. So when When multi-blade applies lethal poisons with both daggers, it poisons the target for additional damage. Boom. That's hard to say. Poison those. Boom, 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 boom. So, this is also my favorite one because you will be using multi-blade all the time. You will have lethal poisons on your weapons. So, this one here just makes additional damage also. The third one, you could probably discuss that the number 2 and number 3, it's like, which one is your favorite one, that's up to you. But the third one is one I really love and probably have on all my damage classes in this expansion and all patch, you would say. So every time you're over 50% health, you will have increasing your primary stat, that is right now agility, by a lot. But if you get below 20% health, you get 15% increased damage on yourself, so it's kind of bad. But again, if the healer just keeps you 50% over your health, you'll do more damage. And then of course you can say nothing personal or double dose is better if you get under 50% health, but yeah, that's the risk you will take with Treasure's Covenant when it gives you a lot of haste, a lot of agility. The last one we're going to talk about is called Echoing Blades. Echoing Blades is the best one on multiple targets, big groups of mobs, or probably just say mythic dungeons where you have a lot of trash mobs. So fan of nice damage is increased for each of the first 5 critical strikes. It will fire a second spray of knives at the location, dealing damage to enemies within 8 yards. So it fires a lot of extra knives out, and it's super good for trash mobs, big pools, and trash mobs in mythic dungeons. So the last one is purely multiple targets AoE, and the top 3 I have is for single target. And of course also all of them also works fine with multiple targets, not nothing personal and double dose, but Treasure's Covenant is, I mean that one is increasing your damage by everything. So that was the Outer Ring. Let's now go to the Middle Ring. So the Middle Ring will first have Overwhelming Power that increase your haste by so much. It is such a nice Azerite trait, and it increases your haste by so much. So that's why I personally like it, because haste is the secondary stat we want most, so why not get more of it? The next one is God Ripper and Heed My Call. So God Ripper is best for bosses, you can say purely single target, well, yeah, it's best for single target, and especially on bosses that takes long time to get from 30% health to 0% health. Heed My Call is best on trash mobs, and you can say on fast killing bosses, because Heed My Call deals passively more damage, and it also deals AoE damage. So you can say in pretty much any scenario this one is better than God Ripper, but God Ripper is dealing much more damage when the target gets below 30% health. Well, not much more damage, but it happens a lot of more time, so it will deal more damage than Heed My Call. But it's only when the target gets below 30% health, so you can say on a boss in a raid where it takes a long time for the boss to go from 30 to 0, then God Ripper is the best one. But if it's a mythic dungeon where the boss is pretty much dying on 1 minute or 2 minutes or something like that, Heed My Call is probably better, and it's also best for trash mobs and cleaves. So it's pretty much with you to which scenario you're going into. It's not even sure that you can get an item with both of these where you have to choose, but now you just know that these two are perfect choice. And of course Overwhelming Power is number 1. So that was the stats and the Azerite traits we covered on 9 minutes. So the next step would be the talents, so I would just switch over to my World of Warcraft screen so you can basically see the talents. So it is time for the talents. So I'll go through each row and explain which talent I think you should use and why, and for different scenarios also. So let's go from the top to the bottom. So we have the first row. So Master Poisoner is the one that I mostly recommend. It's easy to use, you don't really have to think about anything, and it just works out of the box. It's really great on both single target and AoE fights. But elaborate planning can also be really great on sustained trash mobs or AoE groups, because your finishing moves 10% increased damage for 4 seconds. On a big trash group where you can spam Fang of Knives, it will probably give you full combo points all the time, and you can just spam finishing moves that give you 10% increased damage all the time. But on bosses and small trash groups and so on, I'll probably recommend Master Poisoner. Blindside is not really a spell that I would go for. I know a lot of people is still using that one, but I will probably not take it myself. For the next row, the best talent you can take damage wise is Subterfuge. I know it can change your rotation a little bit in the start when you open up, but the extra damage boost you get from Garrod is dealing much more damage than the Night Stalker. Also, you are actually able now to do more damage on multiple targets, because when you use Garrod, it doesn't have a cooldown from the start in your stealth, and it deals 80% more damage. So that means you can dot up 2 persons instantly, 2 persons, 2 enemies, 2 mobs, or 2 bosses with Garrod instantly, and then deals 80% more damage. It's insane, and I really love this talent. For the next row, defaultly out of the box, I'm playing with Viger. Both single target, I feel like this one is the best one. Multiple target, deeper stratagem can actually be sometimes quite cool, because you can stack up more, you can say, combo points, and you will be able to have some cool, stronger finishers. But Vigor is also really good on both really good on single target, but also good on multiple target. So for myself, I would normally recommend going with Viger myself, but deeper stratagem can also be fine on, you can say, AoE groups and so on. But personally myself, I would go with Vigor all the time. For the next row, it's pretty much up to you, but Cheat Death is probably the one you want to use, so if you want to be sure that you're not dying, because when you're failing in the raid or the dungeon, it will basically save you and you will not die. So Unleashing Poison is fine, it heals you all the time, but Cheat Death is kinda saving you for dying if you screw up. So why not have a save button? On the next row, I know a lot of people is this row here is kinda weird, because it doesn't really give you that damage increase. You will not change your rotation of this, but if you are going to stun a target, it will increase the damage per mile. So, for example, Internal Bleeding, Kidney Shot also deals up to 10,000 bleed damage over 6 seconds. But you would normally not use, you would normally not use Kidney Shot, because Kidney Shot is not going to stun the boss or anything. And also damage wise, Prayer on the Weak is actually better, because it increases the damage the enemy takes from 10% by all sources, so that means the whole group. So Prayer of the Weak is basically the best one, but it's kind of weird row this, because it's only when you actually stun them or use Cheap Shot or Kidney Shot. But it requires that the target actually gets stunned, so it works on, you can say, trash mobs that you can stun, but it doesn't work on bosses, so it's a funny row. For the next row, I'm recommending, in pretty much any scenario, Toxic Blade. Toxic Blade is a really great damage ability. Well, it deals 5,700 damage. It is almost the same as, what can we say? It's like the same of 2 times using Multilate, and it only costs 20 energy instead of 50. Also, your nature damage done against the target is increased by 30 for 9 seconds. So basically, with this one here, you can hold up this debuff from Toxic Blade, so you will deal 30% increased damage with your debuffs or poison spells, a Venom, and Poison Bomb, and so on, all the time. As long you can say, as long you use this talent all the time when you actually can use it. But again, it has a 25-second cooldown, but when you can say the spell is off, the cooldown is not long, and we will be ready soon to use it. So Toxic Blade is the one I recommend. If you don't want to have an additional spell and just want to have a easy life, Venom Rush is also fine, but most performance, Toxic Blade. On the next row, I'm recommending taking Poison Bomb both for single target and multiple targets. Hidden Blades can also be really good on multiple targets burst. But the problem is sustained multiple targets fights. It's not really good because it requires 40 seconds before the Hidden Blade is stacked up by Fang of Knives. So it's fine for the quick burst you get from it, but after that it's not really helping you much. So I would probably say Poison Bomb is the one I would go with, both single target and multiple targets in pretty much any scenario. So that was the talent. I hope they learned you something, and I hope that maybe you will be agreeing with me on some of the talents, and maybe you will be like, nah, I'm actually better with this one. But I mean, that's up to our different opinions. So that was the different talents I would recommend using as Assassination Rogues for different scenarios. The next thing I'm going to show you is the gameplay, and for that I'm just going to switch over for the gameplay screen. So let's jump over. Okay, so let's talk about the rotation and the gameplay wise. So playing Assassination Rogue, pretty much of your damage is based on damage over time abilities. So for example, you have the poison called Deadly Poison that will deal damage over time, you have your Garrote that will deal damage over time, and you have your Rupture that will deal damage over time. Your Venom is actually also putting a debuff, well, a buff on yourself. Your Poison, well, that increase your poison application chance by 30. So that means when you actually use a Venom, you have a 30% bigger chance that Deadly Poison is going to trigger, deal instant damage, and also deal damage over time. So that is the small passive things you have to think about. Also, it's very important to kind of know that every time you do a critical strike with a melee attack, you're getting an additional cover points. So let's talk about the opener. So because of this talent I'm using called Subterfuge, it's very important that when I open up, I'm actually inside stealth. So how I would start is I would go into stealth. The first thing I will do is using Garrote, because then Garrote will deal 80% more damage. Just keep in mind, if there's two bosses or a cleave, use Garrote on both of them. Normally Garrote has 6 seconds cooldown, but because of this talent, it doesn't have any cooldown when you use it in stealth. So what I could basically do is I could use Garrote and Garrote. And now I have Garrote on 2 targets that will deal a lot of damage. But in this case, we will just go through the single target rotation. So how I would open up is the first thing I would do is Garrote, Mutilate, and then Rupture. That is kind of the first 3 spells I would use. Then you probably ask, but if I only use Garrote, Mutilate, and Rupture, I don't have 5 combo points. That doesn't matter, because I know it says down there it deals 5000 damage or it deals 17,000 damage, but it actually deals the same damage, it's just over time. So you can see if I get 1 combo point and use Rupture, then it deals 1300 over every 1.9 seconds. If I then get 5 combo points and use Rupture, it still deals only 1300 damage, but it's now active 24 seconds. So what Blizzard is telling you in this tooltip is it's the same damage no matter how long time you actually have it active, but because it will be longer time active, it will of course also deal more damage in overall. It is best to only use Rupture every time you have 4 to 5 combo points. So you can use it whenever you have 4 to 5 combo points, but not lower than that, unless it's your opener, because the opener is pretty much important that you just get as much damage out as fast as possible. So again, if we can go through the opener again, here we go. So I will start with Garrote, Mutilate, Rupture. That is like the first 3 spells I would use just to get up my 2 damage over time abilities that deals a lot of damage. And here we are. So, that is the first part of the opener. Let's go through it again. Garrod, Mutilate, Rupture. The next part I would do after this is using Mutilate and then Toxic Blade. So first of all, Garrod, Mutilate, Rupture. Then after that, Mutilate, Toxic Blade. So if I can just get down on 0, let's see here. Okay, so Garrod, Mutilate, Rupture. Mutilate, Toxic Blade. And what you can do now in this part here, you can begin to use Vendetta now. So you can basically begin to add a Vendetta into your rotation. It is your, you can say, one of your most important damage spells. So marks the enemy for death for 20 seconds, increasing damage of your abilities, and also takes deal to the target by 30, and make the target visible to you through stealth and invisibility. Also, it generates 60 energy over 3 seconds. So it's very important you don't activate Vendetta when you have a lot of energy, because then it will overcap. Okay, so while we go through the opener, you go to stealth, use Garrod for getting the bonus here. Then you use Mutilate, get some more combo points, and then you use Rupture. So just you have all your damage over time abilities out in the opener. Then you use Mutilate again, Toxic Blade, and you could use a Venom if you want. After that, it is pretty much your whole opener. After that, you have to follow your normal rotation. That will be always use Rupture every time you have 4 to 5 combo points, and when Rupture is active, use a Venom on 4 to 5 combo points. That's actually quite easy. Mutilate is just for getting up all your combo points all the time. Keep up Garrod all the time whenever you can, and every time Vanish is ready, use Vanish, go in and use Garrod, because then Garrod will get the damage increase from Substitute. So Vanish is basically also going to be a damage boost cooldown for you now. So Mutilate for getting combo points, Garrod every time it's running off. I mean, it's 18 seconds, so it's not very often you have to refresh it. Rupture every time you have to refresh it, but try to always use 4 to 5 combo points. Then you use a Venom every time Rupture is active and it's not need a refresh. Use a Venom, and always also have 4 to 5 combo points on it. Yeah, and Toxic Blade, just use it every time you can. Deals great damage, costs almost nothing, give you combo points, and your nature damage is increased against it. Finish move that drives your poison, blaze, and deep, dealing instant nature damage. Yeah. So let's go through the opener again. Garrod, Mutilate, Rupture, Mutilate, Toxic Blade, and then you could use a Venom. The reason for why I'm using Venom is because after Toxic Blade, again, we're dealing 30% more damage with our nature damage, and a Venom is the nature damage. You could also, if you have time enough, to put in additional Mutilate for actually dealing, for having more combo points than a Venom. So let's try it again. Okay, Garrod, Mutilate, Rupture, Mutilate, Toxic Blade, Mutilate, a Venom. And now I basically just have to hold up all the time, hold Garrod up, get up some combo points, and hold up Rupture. And now when Garrod and Rupture is both active, I can use Toxic Blade again when it's ready. Have to use Garrot again. And now I can use my points on Venom. And now next time I have to refresh my Rupture. The reason for why I'm saying that you have to use 4 to 5 combo points is you will never let Rupture or Garrot, you could say, get out of damage. Rupture needs to be active all the time. So let's say it has 1 second back, it's running out, you only have 4 combo points, then you just use it, because it still deals the same damage as it was 4 or 5. The only difference is it has 4 seconds more if it's 5 combo points. Of course it's most efficient if you had 5 combo points, but sometimes you don't have time for it because you have to refresh it. And Venom is also fine to use on 4, and also fine to use on 5, but of course if you have the time and can use it on 5, it's of course recommended both for the damage perspective and the energy perspective. So in the rotation, let me just show you how I would do it. Okay. So let's do the open again. Let's do it on this guy here. So Garrot, Mutilate, Rupture, Mutilate, Toxic Blade, Mutilate, and Venom. Between in here, when I have low energy, I can use my Vendetta. So I can basically hold up Garrot and Rupture even more, because it deals damage and it gives me great energy when I'm low. So it will kind of help me in the rotation. Also, you have to add in the Vanish for getting Renew and Garrot that deals more damage. Let me try to show you how that would work. So Garrot, Mutilate, Rupture, Mutilate, Toxic Strike, Venom. Now we just have our normal rotation, so we just have to use our combo points every time we can. So now Garrot is running out. Vanish, Garrot, and Rupture. Back to our normal rotation. So now Vanish has a 2-minute cooldown, and I would need to normally now refresh Garrot every time it's running out. Yeah, I think that is covering it pretty much fine how you would play Assassination Rogue. For multiple targeting, you basically just have one spell called Fang of Knives. When you use it, it deals multiple damage out, and it will also, if I had my damage over time ability on actually, it will also, you can see here, deal the damage over time buff to the targets. So basically it will deal the instant damage and the damage over time. So how you would do it is that you would, if it's only free target, I would probably try to put Garrot on them all, but of course it has a cooldown. So every time I can use Garrot, I would use Garrot on a new target. I would use my Fang, you would not use Mutilate, you will use Fang of Knives to get combo points. Use your Rupture as a combo point spell, because you want to be able to try to see if you can get up combo points on the targets. And Rupture on this guy, Garrot, and so on. So basically you use Fang of Knife for generating combo points. Try to see if you can get Garrot and Rupture up on 3 to 2 targets, but if it's more than 3 to 2 targets, you will not be able to actually hold it up, and it will probably just be better to spam Fang of Knives and Venom. Also you have this one here, Poison Bomb, that will, Venom and Rupture have a chance to deal additional damage. So you can see here, and then in Venom, and sometimes it will cast a, you can say, a Poison Bomb, and it will also deal additional damage to them all, like now. So multiple target rotation is pretty much the same as single target. You just replace Mutilate with Fang of Knives, and you try to hold up Garrot and Rupture up on as many targets as possible. Yeah, but again, if it's more than 3 targets, so it's +4, I would not use time on Garrett and Rupture. That would probably be spamming Fang of Knives and Venom to kind of get out as much burst damage as possible. Yeah, I think that covers pretty much the rotation. So I would not say personally, I don't think that Assassination Rogue is pretty hard. It is pretty much just holding up Garrett all the time, holding up Rupture all the time, use Vendetta every time you can, and hold up your damage flow. Yeah. So I hope this Assassination Rogue guide was helpful for you. I hope you liked it. So leave down a like if you liked it, leave down a comment if you have any questions about this guide. Let me know. Just come with the questions and I will answer them. So thanks guys for watching my Assassination Rogue guide. This is probably my favorite rogue spec in the whole game. I know I first made the Order Rogue, but that's because of you guys voted about it. But Assassination Rogue is definitely my favorite one, but probably because it's easy, but also because I like the damage over time abilities. I really do. So, great guide. So again, leave down a comment if you have any questions, leave down a like if you like the video, and just a bonus question. Which guide would you like to see after this one here? Which guide? Because I mean, I pretty much have almost filled out the list of requesters. So which guide, if you could choose the next guide, which guide would you like to see from my channel? So again, on that, thanks guys for watching. Have a really great weekend. I mean, the weekend is pretty much soon ended, but still have a nice weekend, have a nice evening, and we'll see you in the next video.